Throughout the journey of trading, you're gonna have tough times where things don't seem to go your way. How you deal with them is super important. Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci-Traders.com here with another daily market recap, another extreme roller coaster ride. So without further ado, please hit the like, subscribe, and let's see the charts. First, let's take a look. Intraday price action on the SPY. By the way, this is my main screen. Always in front of me, no matter what ETF, no matter what stock, no matter if it's short or long I'm planning. This is always in front of me. The SPY price action, 5 minutes, 65 minutes, also the 15 minutes. And if you remember, in Fibonacci Traders Discord, you know these charts. Every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, we post them to get a better point of view of price action. So, SPY gapped up in the opening, 0.6, went all the way almost 1% to the upside, then went back down, 1.4 to the downside, and then went back up 1.3 to the upside. We have again the same broadening formation since yesterday. Broadening formation means higher highs, lower lows, and if you zoom out to get a better point of view, you can see trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. This trend line started over here, February 6. Then each and every time price reached, bounced. Also on the 3rd hour today, doji off a trend line and bounced to the upside, and we traded in our Discord. Now zooming out to the daily, if you saw yesterday's video, we said price will go to the downside, will reach this trend line as support. Basically, we've said it since a week or two ago, and now we have 2 consecutive dojis on this trend line. Doji is the most significant signal in price action for an indecision and maybe trend reversal. So we need to wait and see. Tomorrow's Friday and not many more days, trading days on February. QQQ, 2 consecutive dojis on the 234, 294, 293 area. But as you can see, during this week, 298 is a very strong resistance because it was support, resistance. So now, once again, resistance. Dow Jones, bears trying to push price to the downside. Bulls are not giving up on the 330 because they know once the 330 will break to the downside, and if they will give up on the 330, 325 and this multi-top will come into validation towards 320 and maybe all the way to 300. Always follow price, zoom in, zoom out, and see better point of view of price action. On the weekly, we can see Dow Jones is the bulls are not so strong. They were strong over here, but since November, bulls trying, failing. And let's see if they have enough power in their hands to hold the 330. IWM. Let's go back to the daily. 2 consecutive dojis on the 188. 188 is a very important level. It was a very strong resistance. Now it needs to hold as support, and maybe we can get a bounce towards this trend line. This trend line will act as a very tough resistance because it was a very important support for price action. As you can see, only by looking left, lines, trend lines, Fibonacci, and that's it. No need any other noise, aka indicators on the chart. VIX, if you saw these videos during these past few days, we said that this gap will get filled because more than 99% of all gaps on VIX historically are getting filled, and here we are. This gap got filled. Now let's see breaking to the downside below the 2040. This area, very important level of support and resistance, and as bulls we need this to break to the downside. Dollar index 104, holding very strong resistance. It was a very strong resistance over here. Now we have a doji. Let's see if we can get trend reversal to the downside, back retesting this trend line as support. The US 10-year yield back below the 390, which is good for the bulls. We can take Fibonacci now because we have a new swing low, swing high, 383 to the downside, and then we have all the levels to follow and manage risk. We need US 10-year to go back to the downside. SMH, basically this doji and this gap to the upside is the result of NVDA, nothing more. We have a gap to the downside, we have this gap to the upside. Both of them will get filled because more than 80% of all gaps will get filled throughout time. Bitcoin on the daily, basically moving sideways between the red and the orange. The orange needs to hold, otherwise look left. Where is the next trend line as support? We have this low, trend line that connects the two lows will be the next support in case the orange will fail to hold. Ethereum 1680, 1690, all this area keeps acting as a very strong resistance. It will come a time that bulls will give up if they will fail to succeed and break above this blue line, above this area, closing a week or two above it. If they fail, they will give up, and then we will get some flash to the downside towards this orange trend line. Natural gas, for now this one is negated. Now we have a bounce to the upside, and from the 216, let's see, 254, 255 is the next level of resistance. Always follow price and adjust your position according to the chart. Don't force the chart according to your position. It will not work. You will lose. The only thing you can do is adjust your position according to the chart. Apple almost closed this gap. Two consecutive dojis above the 148 area. Very important, but we need this gap to get filled. Maybe tomorrow, Friday, we will get another leg, another wick to the downside, closing this gap, and then maybe to the 155. I say maybe because no one knows for sure. All we can do is look left, where price came from, where price is now, why it's here now. Looking left, 148, very strong resistance, now acting as support, failing to act support, this will get filled, and then 142 to the downside. But we have several dojis, doji here, here and here, indecision on Apple. So we decide to do nothing because market is an indecision condition. So if market cannot decide, we surely cannot decide if to go long or short. We can decide if to go short once this gap will get filled and continuation to the downside. Then we can go short and manage our risk according to the levels to the upside. And of course, everything you hear and see on this video and on other videos on my channel are and is for educational purposes only. Never follow anyone blindly on social media, free or paid services. Learn, listen, adjust yourself according to what works for you. Always do your own due diligence. Tesla, another day, another doji between the 188 and the 214, long above, short below, following price using levels to manage our position and risk. That's it. NVDA, post earnings, back above, but we have a doji, and as we can see, doji after doji after doji. For me it says wait and see what will happen. I want to see clear trend with nice candles to the upside, or clear trend with nice candles to the downside, not dojis. Meta still hovering and floating inside this void, inside this gap. This area of the 170 is holding. Only look left. Why it's holding? Because it was a very important level of resistance. Look at this. Only look left. No other indicators. We let you see what your eyes sees best. Look left. Why price is now here? Because it was very strong resistance. Now it's becoming as a very important support. Failing to hold this area, we know gaps are like magnet, are like black hole for price action. Netflix, here we are. We said previous videos ago, in the past few weeks, we said if Netflix will fail to hold the 343 as support, this gap will get filled and price will retest this yellow trend line and bounce. And here we are. Broke to the downside, filled the gap, bouncing off for now, bouncing off this yellow trend line. This yellow trend line goes all the way to July. Every time, except this one, every time price reached, it bounced back. Now all we have to do is wait for bounce continuation. Tomorrow, Friday. So let's see what happens. Microsoft, another great example of why trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. And this is not rocket science. This is candles, lines, and that's it. It doesn't have to be accurate. It just needs to give us, as you can see, if I will be more accurate like this, now you can see, just need to give us some kind of an area for support and resistance for price action. Now let's see if we can get a bounce towards this gap here, or if this line will fail to hold on the weekly, we can take Fibonacci and do like this. Now if this trend line will fail to hold, 254, 246, sorry, 240, our next support to the downside that we need to keep our eyes on. Bounce, 263 to the upside, and maybe back to this trend line over here. Shopify, another great example of why trend lines are the true support for price action. 3 consecutive dojis on a trend line. This gap needs to get filled. We might get tomorrow or Monday another week like this one, another long one to finally close this gap and then bounce towards this gap over here. Look left. Started October, held, and now it's holding. Trend lines, Fibonacci levels, and the relationship with price action. Check Fibonacci's Academy playlist, 22 videos, 20 minutes or less, on how to improve in our trading journey. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit a like, subscribe, share with friends. Check over here, Fibonacci-Traders Academy. We have the psychology behind trading, my new ebook. Not so long ebook, but it will give you guidelines to become your own indicator on the psychology side and the mental side of trading. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next video, stay safe.